Our next performer is an author, an activist, and one of the nation's leading experts and lecturers on fat discrimination and body image. She's been featured in the New York Times, MTV, Al Jazeera, NPR, Yahoo Health, the San Francisco Chronicle, the Huffington Post, Cosmopolitan Magazine, Bust Magazine, and French language magazine Madame Figaro. That was rough. I got through it all, though. She's also a friend of mine. I am absolutely delighted she could come up here tonight to entertain y'all. Please welcome to the stage the lovely Virgie Tovar! Bring it up to 10. Remember when we did that earlier? We were very enthusiastic. So good.
Okay, I want us to go back in time to 2010. I want you to imagine I am in graduate school. I'm studying sexuality studies. And I came into the program with an interest in studying fetishism and fetishists. Now, I'm a qualitative researcher, which means I interview people. And what's difficult, I discovered about researching and interviewing fetishists, they were very difficult to find. They were like the spotted pygmy owl of the sex. That's not actually a real bird, but I thought it was very lyrical, so I decided to keep it. Anyway, so they're sort of like this really unique creature. They're very insular, right? Like fetishists often have very sophisticated internal worlds that don't involve other humans. So they don't congregate, in the sort of normal way that maybe other sexuality-focused identity folks do. Anywho, so I was hitting a bit of a challenge, and I started to find that actually my deep down desire was to study fat women and the way that the way that size affected gender over a lifetime in women and girls. It turns out there's like this really fascinating correlation between body size and the development of gender. We can talk more about that later. Pin it, okay? So I thought, okay, the logistics are that, yes, this is a really exciting thing and I want to do it, but I'm going to have to get the chair of my committee to agree. And she had been so excited about my previous research. So let's just say her name is Shmamie, okay? So I had to go into I'm protecting the identity of the vulnerable, right? So I make an appointment to go in to see her, to talk to Shmamie. And, I'm like, she's a very small person, but she's a very intense person. And I'm deeply intimidated. She's like 5'2", and, wears turtleneck sweaters, and I'm scared, right? And so I walk into the meeting, and I'm like, hey, Shmamie, I'm thinking about it. And she was like, what? And I was like, I'm thinking about research. I don't want to do fetishes. I want to research fat women. And she was like, oh no. Researching fat people is a career killer. No one cares about that. Everything about the topic has already been written. It would be career suicide. And in her words, I hear the echo of all the words I grew up hearing, which is that fat people are worth less than thin people, that no one would ever love me because of my body size, that somehow my future was going to be very bleak and very sad if I didn't lose a lot of weight. There's no future in this. So, of course, having activated that childhood sense of insufficiency in me, I walk out of the office with my head kind of, down low, like I'm downtrodden, right? And I'm like, doo-doo-doo. It's like the Snoopy song is playing, if you can imagine it. It's like, doo-doo-doo, right? And then as I'm like walking out of the office, it turns out that the person who's the center of this story is sitting right outside, and he hops up and he says, wait, now before I tell you what he says, I have to tell you who this person is. I will tell you right now, the honest truth is, normally when I tell stories, I like to deeply implicate men and talk about all the ways in which men have failed me. But this story is man positive. Because this story is about someone who was not only a very good friend, but also my boyfriend, or perhaps vice versa. Anywho, so I need you to meet. So the character, his name is Sam. He's sitting outside the office. Okay, let's leave him there for a minute. So I need to tell you about Sam, and in order to understand who Sam is, I need to tell you how we met. And actually, okay, so the context is take it back like 4 years, something like that. I'm working in radio, CBS, San Francisco. I have a call-in show where essentially long-haul truckers call me and ask for romantic advice, and I give them loving, gentle, feminist-informed information. And one day I get an email, and I like paraphrased it. I wrote it. I have to share it with you. Okay, I just want to not get it wrong. Okay, so we're gonna dig in here to my phone, and I'm gonna read you the letter. Okay, email. Okay, opening email. Dear Virgie, my name is Sam. I happened upon your podcast because I had. Oh, by the way, the show was podcasted. I happened upon your podcast because I had been chopping wood while listening to Democracy Now, and I found myself too depressed to proceed. So I decided to look for something a little more lighthearted, and iTunes had suggested your show. I want you to know that I'm very moved by all of the personal things you share. I know what it feels like to believe that something is fundamentally wrong with you, but I must tell you that no matter what, you should never wish to be anyone different because you are wonderful. Even though I will never laugh with you or cry with you, there will always be a man loving you from the other side of the world. P.S. I am a shut-in who rarely leaves his home and who lives with his mother. I am worthless and also live in New Zealand. Best Sam. And I was like, what? A dreamboat. So we started talking on the phone, and then we decided we're going to try and date. And all of a sudden, we're like commuting, from one side of the world to the other. I'm living in Christchurch, New Zealand, for 6 months of the year, which is as boring as it sounds. After you see all the picturesque mountains, like the first week, all you end up doing is like compulsively crafting gifts for other people. So, and he would live in San Francisco for, a few months at a time. Anyway, so that's kind of the context of our relationship. He was one of the most incredibly feminist humans I've ever met. He taught me so much about, what it means to love somebody and what it means to amplify a person. And so let's go back in time. We're going forward in time, back to the office. I come out of the office with my little Charlie Brown song. And he shoots up and he says, "Fuck her and her fat phobia." Yeah. And he says, "We're going to get you a new advisor. You deserve to research whatever you want, and screw her." And so, yeah, we went on. He created that platform for me to kind of see myself and feel what I, feel a sense of what I deserved. And so I ended up researching the area I was interested in. I had to get a new advisor. She was excited about the project. And right as I was finishing graduate school, I got a book contract to write a book that was based in a lot of ways on my research. Thank you. And then, that led to being on the lecture circuit. So now I go to universities and talk about this. Then all of a sudden, I'm getting media requests from New York Times and Tech Insider to ask me asking me to help them understand the impacts of fat phobia and diet culture on women's lives in the United States. And so I just want to say that I want to leave you with the gesture and the kind of realization that Sam gave to me, which is no matter what, when you want something, don't let the schmamies of the world cock block you. Bye.